Yellowstone National Park. It feels like a dream.
Woo!
No less so the second time around. Actually, we're right outside the east entrance of the park right now. We had to change the beginning of our route due to carcass on the location that we were gonna go. So we're starting this 7-day trip in the Shoshone National Forest. Our plan is to head up through the Lamar River Valley, go up into Pebble Creek, and finish off the trip in Slough Creek. We're super excited. Joey's first trip in Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Nothing to do but to hit the trail.
Let's do it.
Well, we were certainly disappointed to have our original route rerouted away from Pelican Valley due to the carcass present, but this area of the Shoshone National Forest is incredibly beautiful and not really feeling disappointed anymore. Right now we're in the Northern Absaroka Wilderness. It's beautiful. We are following along the banks of the North Fork of the Shoshone River for a good portion of today. We've made it to the Berry Meadow area, and the winds have picked up and some pretty thick clouds have moved in. The temperature has dropped considerably, which is very nice, but hopefully there's not a big storm rolling in. Our first river crossing of the trip, first of many, and we may be able to find a place a little ways upstream to get across without our feet wet, but we're gonna figure that out here in a second. The circle of life. It's a little stormy the way we're heading. Hopefully that'll clear out by the time we get there. We are breaking away from the North Fork of the Shoshone, and our hellacious climb of close to 3,000 feet over the next several miles is beginning. Up, up, and away. Home sweet home. We made it to camp for the night along the banks of the Shoshone River, the North Fork of the Shoshone. We made it about halfway up the mountain and came back down. We'll talk a little more about that later. It wasn't just because of this incredible campsite here, but we've got an awesome little piece of heaven down here on earth for us to enjoy.
The North Absaroka Wilderness, which I mistakenly referred to as the Northern Absaroka Wilderness throughout, stretches over 350,000 acres and is entirely contained within Wyoming, although its northernmost boundary abuts Montana.
We made it to the end of day one.
Good evening.
Beautiful, beautiful campsite here along the North Fork of the Shoshone. A lot of great sights today, very pretty in this whole Shoshone National Forest, Northern Absaroka Wilderness area. We did have some difficulties today, which we'll talk a little bit more about tomorrow. And that's why we're back down here along the river. We had beautiful weather. There was a big storm that rolled by right in front of us and just missed us barely, so that was awesome. Great campsite. We're getting some dinner in us. We'll get things ready for the evening.
Absolutely. It's gonna be time for bed soon.
Good night.
Good night.
We made it to day 2.
All right.
Here in the Northern Absaroka Wilderness of Shoshone National Forest. Had a good night last night, nice and restful for us, which we both enjoyed. Rained a little off and on this morning, but not very hard and not very long. So everything was dry when we're now packing up here in the early afternoon. We've obviously got some plot holes to fill in, mostly around while we came down the mountain yesterday, back down to the river here. And really, I had just gotten pretty sick. I had no energy. I was vomiting profusely, pretty confused, in a bit of a state of delirium. And fortunately, my great hiking partner here, Joey, had the good idea of maybe we should go back down the mountain. And so as we got back to the bottom of the mountain, I started to feel a little better. We got to get some water in me and some food in me last night after everything that I lost, and
fortunately it stayed put.
Yep, feeling a lot better today. So with the symptoms and the fact that I felt better once we got back down the mountain, I can only assume that I was afflicted by a bit of altitude sickness there. And it's gonna have a big impact on our trip, and we are completely changing our plans at this point, even more so than they had changed originally when we couldn't go up through Pelican Valley as we had originally planned. And today we're gonna go about 5 or 6 miles following along the North Fork of the Shoshone to Camp Monaco. So we're not gonna go into the park at all today. We're gonna stay in the Shoshone National Forest. We're gonna follow the stream down and go get set up at Camp Monaco for the night. But it's super beautiful out here. We're really enjoying the landscape. We're ready to get another day under our belts.
Looking forward to it.
It's a pretty day today. It's also a very hot day. Mid to upper 80s, and that sun is just relentless. The breeze cools us down from time to time. We try to take breaks whenever we see a little bit of shade, which is not very often. Some gorgeous hiking out here in Shoshone. We are high above the banks of the North Fork of the Shoshone. Today has been a bit more uphill than we had expected. We thought it'd be pretty flat, but it's been quite a few hills to conquer along the way.
Yeah, not so flat.
An awesome, cool green oasis on this hot, dusty trail. This is the first water source we've come to since breaking camp. They're a bit faint, but these are the first bear signs that we've seen on the trail so far. A couple little footprints along here. Home sweet home. We've made to camp for the night. This is Camp Monaco, which is a pretty cool historical site. This is where Buffalo Bill brought the Prince of Monaco on a backcountry expedition over 100 years ago. We've got some bear boxes here, water down by the river, everything we need.
In 1913, Monaco's Prince Albert became the first reigning European monarch to visit the United States. The Northern Wyoming Herald reported that Albert was well pleased with his hunting trip to the Shoshone National Forest.
All right, we're nearing the end of day 2 here in the Northern Absaroka Wilderness of Shoshone National Forest. Beautiful day for us. A lot of the excitement of today really started once we got to camp. Rain came in right as we were setting up.
Yeah, quite a thunderstorm came in right when we were setting up.
Perfect timing. It started to sprinkle while we were putting the tents up, and we pretty much got them up when the big rain came. Hour and a half.
Ballpark figure, yeah. I mean,
Thunder, rain.
It came down for a while.
Wind.
It was fun.
And then after the rainstorm, Joey was sitting out here, and on this mountain behind me, he observed what looked to be a mom and her cub running around the side of the mountain.
Yeah, they're out there digging for dinner. That's my first time ever seeing a bear of any kind, black or grizzly. Go figure it's a grizzly. But fortunately, it was several hundred feet up that hill across the river. I don't even think she knew that we existed. So that was wild.
That's if you have to see a bear, that's the way you want to see it. Very far away, across the river, way up the mountain.
Yes, every time.
Any closer, don't come around here. We're good.
And there's a lot of sign of bear activity around the camp too. There's tracks in the riverbank here where it's dried up. There's a little dig hole right over there where it was getting after a squirrel, and there's a rubbin tree right by where we're gonna store the food in a box there. So there is it seems to be a popular little spot.
Hopefully our presence will keep the bears away tonight, of course. We're gonna get dinner cooked up, get settled in, and I'm sure it'll be another early bedtime for us. So we'll call that the end of day 2.
Right on.
Good night.
Good night.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We made it to day 3 of our trip here in the Northern Absaroka Wilderness of Shoshone National Forest. A thunderstorm came throughout the night, and then another rain shower came throughout the night. Fortunately, I was able to stay mostly dry, but not all of us had that same good luck, did we, Joey?
We didn't all have that same luck. I'm not sure if I just pitched wrong. I've had my tent in rain plenty of times, and last night was the first time it completely wetted out. And about the 3rd time it stormed last night, it stormed inside the tent. To the point I had to get up, get my clothes, get my quilt all bunched up under me while trying to keep as much of the quilt on me as I could. Threw on my down jacket and put my rain jacket over me, and I sat like this for what felt like years. But eventually the rain stopped and I was able to lay back down and get comfortable again, and my quilt stayed dry, the down in it is dry, so I was warm all night, so that was lucky, because I could have gone a lot worse. And yeah, that's the rain story. We stored our food in the bear boxes over here, and we wake up and somehow Joey had a mouse get in there. The only holes in the bear box are maybe the size of a dime, so smallest mouse in the world. Yeah, he got up in there somehow and chewed through the bag a little bit. Fortunately, we do have 7 days of food for what's probably going to be about a 4-day trip, so we've got plenty left over there. But I mean, it's a beautiful morning, a beautiful spot in Camp Monaco. We're hoping that the sun will come out pretty good and dry our tent and some of our gear out. Then we'll get packed up, and we're gonna head about 7-8 miles down the way we came along the North Fork of the Shoshone, and we're aiming to set up camp in Berry Meadows. We saw a nice spot on the way in that had a bear box, so that should be our goal for tonight. Yeah. Looking forward to hopefully a good day today. It's gonna be a good day today. That's right. All right. One final look at Camp Monaco. Spectacular sight here. We figured if it was good enough for Buffalo Bill and the Prince of Monaco, then it's probably gonna be good enough for us as well, and it certainly has been. Beautiful place. Making our way along the trail this morning. It's a nice hazy sky for us, which is keeping the sun off. We don't want any more rain though. Awesome scenery out here. A big shout out and thank you to Cindy, who gave us a ride all the way from Slough Creek down outside the east entrance to where we started, close to Pahasca. Thank you, Cindy.
The winds are picking up here this afternoon, but the haze still persists. Obviously, first glance, you kind of think, oh, maybe it's smoke, but there's no hint of smoke smell in the air, which is obviously great news. Home sweet home. We've made it to camp here along the Berry Meadow, right on the shores of the river, and there's a nice bear box on the other side of camp for us too, so we can stay safe and sound. Beautiful little spot. This will be camp for night 3.
The Absarokas are volcanic in origin, and the eruptive materials that comprise the mountains were deposited around 50 million years ago. Erosion over the subsequent tens of millions of years formed the dramatic shapes that we see today.
So when you're camping in the high winds of the Wyoming backcountry, things like cooking can become difficult. So you gotta put your heads together and build a nice, sexy little cove.
Can't beat this for a little R&R. Three nights in so far in the Northern Absaroka Wilderness. How you feeling, Joey?
I feel awesome. Yeah, looking back on this one, this has been a wild ride. Obviously we got rerouted for the first day, so we had to pop into this wilderness area, which I was a little uneasy about. We didn't have the mapping for it or anything like that, but my man Layne worked hard the night before coming out to get everything figured out for us, and it paid off. No regrets about the reroute whatsoever, and there's a bald eagle flying right in front of us, right there. Look at that beautiful thing. Wow. So that's the kind of trip we're on. That was amazing. I mean, 50 yards from us, a bald eagle just now. Wow. Yeah, so we made it out here. What could be better? You know, man down. Poor Layne had a rough first day, so we ended up having to change the already changed plan. But it went fine. He got some rest, was able to recover yesterday. And I was at Camp Monaco, where one of my highlights of the trip, up until Mr. Eagle just showed up, was actually seeing a grizzly. I really wanted to see one while we were out here, just not in camp. And check it off the box, that was amazing. So nothing short of great things to say. Today has been great. We were full energy. We got food in us. We had a great day weather-wise. It was a perfect day. And we just crushed these 7 miles to get into this wonderful camp right here that you see behind me. And yeah, I'm having a blast. This has been great, and it's amazing, you know, when you can work together like I was saying with our last trip in Joyce Kilmer, when you can work together when things don't go right and end up making something really special out of it, it's always good. It's definitely given us a lot of stories to tell. So looking forward to telling them.
One last look around camp for the evening before the sun sets here in Berry Meadows along the North Fork of the Shoshone River. It's going down right behind that mountain there. Beautiful evening for us. Because of the last minute reroute on this trip, we didn't have time to grab a paper map, but I downloaded this Shoshone National Forest Visitor Map North Half on the phone, and that's what we've been using to navigate on this trip. We started along the road here near the Pakaska Teepee, and on day one we came up along the North Fork of the Shoshone River, and then we cut up this mountain, but that was where we turned around, right around here, and then we came back down to camp along the river. And day one was about 12 miles. On day two, we went from our campsite here down to Camp Monaco, and that was about 5.5 miles. Today, we've come from Camp Monaco back down past the way we came to the Berry Meadows for about 7.5 miles. And on day four, we'll head back down to the road for about 4 miles, giving us a trip total of approximately 29 miles. We've made it to the end of day 3 on our trip here in the Shoshone National Forest. This is gonna be a 4-day trip in total. We'll finish it off tomorrow. Today was the first great day for me. Felt a lot better today. We had an awesome day of hiking. The weather was very cooperative for us. We saw an awesome bald eagle fly by in camp.
Oh, man.
He looked like he was hunting the little sparrows or whatever these little guys are that are flying
Some
around.
little birds all over the riverbank.
But that was an awesome sight to see, and combined with the bear sighting, makes for a pretty cool trip.
Very cool. Very cool.
We've only seen one person on the trip so far, and that was about 10 minutes from the trailhead. So it's been over 50 hours since we've seen anyone. It's good for us. It's been awesome wilderness experience. We're gonna enjoy the rest of the evening here, go to bed, and that'll be it for day 3. Good night.
Good night.
In 1891, the Shoshone National Forest, as part of the Yellowstone Timberland Reserve, became the first national forest in the United States and one of the first nationally protected lands anywhere. Even its storied status as part of the Greater Yellowstone Ecosystem doesn't save this wilderness from occasional poaching. In the same month, in 2015, a mule deer was killed from the Berry Meadows campsite, and a grizzly bear was killed 20 yards from the trail.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We made it to day 4 of our trip here in the Northern Absaroka Wilderness of Shoshone National Forest. This will be our last day of the trip. We're going to head back out to the trailhead a couple miles today. Last night was a relaxing night for us. We got some good rest in. It was also the coldest night of the trip, pretty significantly. It's warming up this morning as the sun starts to rise over the mountains here. We've got some breakfast in us. We're gonna get camp packed up, and then we're gonna hit the trail. But it's been a really great trip for us here in this area. Of course, the whole thing was unplanned and was changed last minute several times, but things have really worked out well for us. It's been a special trip in a special area, and you know, thankful that we were just guided to this section.
What an incredible experience. I mean, not always great to have to scramble last minute, but this really paid off for us. What a wonderful place.
The scenery throughout this area is as beautiful as anywhere. There's no doubt about that. We got to see some awesome animal sightings between the bears and the eagle, and we have still not seen a person since about 10 minutes from the trailhead on day 1. So we're the only people out here.
Got it all to ourselves.
We're gonna get camp packed up here in a minute and then get ready to get going.
Right on.
We've got an awesome echo going on here.
Help! Help!
Any bear in the area knows we're coming through. The majestic mountain mist is protecting us from the sun once again today. It's really helpful to have. We're on our way out. There's the North Fork of the Shoshone below us, surrounded by the Absarokas on all sides. What a beautiful area this is. A huge blessing for us to be able to come experience this land. Another day in paradise in the Greater Yellowstone Ecosystem. We've passed a couple of groups coming out this morning after only seeing one person over the previous 3 days, and they actually told us that this is smoke. It just doesn't smell.
All right.
4 days and almost 30 miles later, we are back to where we started, about 1/10 of a mile from the road. What an adventure.
What an adventure. Yes, sir.
It felt like the first 2 days the wilderness was kind of testing us, throwing everything it had, and then once we passed that test, the final 2 days were pretty much perfect. So
Nice and easy.
we went through it and got a little bit of reward there. We're gonna get finished up here and head back into town. Our plan is to take a night's rest and then get back and finish off the last 3 days in Yellowstone from Pebble Creek to Slough Creek. So hopefully that'll work out for us. We're gonna go ahead and call that the end of our trip here. Goodbye.
Goodbye.